Hare Krishna. Can you hear my voice? Am I audible? Okay, let's start. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shadvaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So thank you all very much for joining today's session. We have been discussing from the 10th chapter of the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So King Rahuguna chastises Jadabharata. Actually, King Rahuguna has already chastised Jadabharata because he was not carrying the palanquin properly. He did not know. We saw this, we had an elaborate discussion on this. He honestly did not know that the exalted nature of Jadabharata. And, from a generic perspective, actually, Rahuguna's actions towards Jadabharata cannot be criticized. Okay. He was acting just like a king was expected to act. And honestly, he did not know the exalted nature of Jadabharata because it was very much covered. Okay. So Rahuguna is certainly not fit to be criticized here. Okay. So, and it is mentioned that he was Upasita Vriddha. He was actually very well read, well mannered, and it is mentioned that he was predominantly in Sattva uh, and definitely he had the qualification to accept the path of bhakti and practice the path of bhakti and perfect the path of bhakti. And that's the reason why Jadabharata chose to speak to him. Jadabharata in his whole life of probably about 25, 26 years, which is not exactly given, but around that so many years, he had not spoken with anyone. This was the first time, and he chose Rahuguna to speak. So he was not an ordinary person. Okay. So he was just acting as a king, which was his behavior was appropriate. He cannot be criticized. Okay, that's the point. Okay. So Jadabharata, so he says oh, you look like a very you're not, look at you, you're not very healthy, you're not very stout, you do not have very well-formed limbs, you're old also, all that sarcasm he spoke. In one sense, it's not, some for Shudras, generally Sama, Dana, they may not work very well. Danda works very well. Threatening, uh, these kind of lower forms of um, mm, communications and work very well for Shudras. And it is definitely that he found. He thought uh, Jadabharata was a Shudra. So the way he was dealing with him was reasonable. It was not unreasonable. Okay. So, and in response, Jadabharata started speaking, and he started speaking, and he said, actually, what you say is correct. Only if I don't see what you have spoken is sarcasm or deceitful speech. But only if I was the body, whatever you spoke would be taken as sarcasm, but I'm not the body. But you said that you spoke about my nourishment, my being well nourished, malnourished, whatever it is. But this is not the speech of a person who is intelligent. You are very confidently speaking, but you are not very intelligently speaking because I am not this body. Now, how is a king expected to act? The very fact that you are given the role of a king means it is on the bodily platform. Because the soul is only servant, the soul is not the king. Okay. So, but even if, you will very clearly see that Rahuguna, it's not that Rahuguna was not aware of the difference between body and soul. He was very much aware. But the point is, even a person who is aware of the difference between body and soul has to be empathetic towards others who are on the bodily platform. and act on that level and gradually raise them. Na buddhi bedam janayed ajnanam karma sanginam joshayet sarva karmani vidwan yukta samacharam. This is Krishna's instructions to Jnana yogis, qualified Jnana yogis. He said that, look, you may be an Atmarati, you may be on the platform of soul, but if someone is abjectly on the platform of body, you cannot just say that, hey, you should not be acting on the platform of body. It is not possible. It is not possible. So you have to, Radha Krishna says, you also perform those activities, those Varnashrama activities, which are actually on the bodily platform. But by doing that, gradually teach them how those same Varnashrama activities can be done. Those same Varnashrama activities can be done with detachment for a higher goal of liberation. So this is what he says. And here is, so therefore, Rahuguna, Rahuguna was very much, he was not an ordinary materialistic king. He was not an ordinary materialistic king. So, but Jadabharta has a specific goal. So Rahuguna will keep on telling, Arey, for my conventional existence in this world, I have to act on the platform of body. Jadabharta will be like, no, you are not the body, you are the soul. Okay. So there's going to be some discordant conversations that is going to happen, apparently discordant looking conversations, because, you know, when Rahuguna will keep on explaining, yeah, I understand that. But look, as a king, I have to do this, right? Jadabharta would be like, no, but you're not the body, you're the soul. That kind of a conversation, because there is a purpose and which he's trying to accomplish. So here he says that what you but to say that I am very well nourished or not nourished or malnourished is all on the body of soul. It is all on the body of on the platform of body. Okay, like that he says. He says that strength, thinness, sickness, anxiety, hunger, thirst, sleep, attachment, they all belong to a person with a body and who identifies with the body. I don't identify with my body, so these kind of things do not exist for me. And you told that I am living dead. Now, what about you? Is your body Sachidananda Vigraha? In fact, actually, Jadabharat's body was a spiritual body, whereas Raghuguna's was not. Okay. But anyways, in his conversation with Rahuguna, he can always say, okay, if my body is dead, is your body alive? Everyone's body, the nature of the body is it is going to die, and it is dying at every moment. What is the difference? So, and then he said that, oh, and then you told that I am your master and you should be serving me. And he said, is this a permanent situation? Today you are master, tomorrow I may become your master. And in fact, this is true. Till few years back, Bharata was the undisputed emperor of the whole Bharatavarsha, and the Sindhu Savira province was a very insignificantly small province within the Bharatavarsha, and probably King Rahuguna or maybe even King Rahuguna's father would have been, offering obeisances to Bharat Maharaj and paying his taxes. Okay. So here he says that, do you think that the condition of master and servant is permanent? Well, the point is that Yes, it is not permanent. It is not permanent, but for the proper functioning of the society, whatever is the current situation, the current servant has to serve the current master. Otherwise, how there will be a smooth functioning of the society? That is Rahuguna's point. And Jadabharata is no, it is not a permanent thing. Okay, on the on the platform of soul, these are all false upadhis. These are all temporary upadhis. Yeah. So he's speaking on that level. And Rahugana says, yeah, it may be temporary, but it is needed, right? It is needed like that. So then he says that, my dear king, other than convention, a generic convention, I do not at all see any distinction between master and servant. Who is the master and who is the servant? If you still think that you are the master and I am your servant, then please engage me in your service. Tell me how I can serve you. And another thing, you're chastising me, what, and you are threatening to punish me. Isn't your observation good enough that, uh, do I look? If you are intelligent enough, you will understand that I am a self-realized person. So what do you accomplish by punishing a self-realized person? Or even if you are looking from very superficial eyes, you will notice that probably you will be, your observation would tell that I am probably a madman or a dumb person with some amount of mental retardation. So what are you trying to accomplish, or what will you accomplish by punishing a madman, a mentally retarded person? So what are you talking about? This is like pishta peshananya. It is like grinding that which has already been ground. So thus, when Jadabharata answered in this way, by quoting whatever Rahuguna said and then giving his own commentary to it or explanation to it, Bharat Maharaj, finishing his prarabdha karmas, karma arabdam vyapanayan, by experiencing in this way and having destroyed all causes of material bodies with peaceful mind, resumed carrying the palanquin as before. So, here it is mentioned that if Bharata had no material identification, why did he appear to be unable to tolerate the king's words and thus answer him? He says, in order to destroy the king's prarabdha karma, recognized by enjoyment of royal wealth and power, in the guise of repeating the king's statements, by following the process of bhakti taught by Bharata, by his mercy, the king could destroy his karma. So, he did not become angry, but he responded as an act of compassion. As an act of compassion. Or another meaning is that Jadabharata, due to his natural Vaishnava humility, felt that he should that he was not even a devotee. So therefore, he did have prarabdha karma, and whatever, by carrying the palanquin and other such things, I have to destroy my prarabdha karma. He was thinking like that out of his natural humility. Then Rahuguna, having attained the qualification of faith in bhakti, on hearing the words of Jadabharata, he quickly jumped out of the palanquin and fell at the feet of Jadabharata and begged for forgiveness without any pride, having given up any pride of being the king. And then he asked Jadabharata, who are you amongst the Brahmanas? So now that I realize that you're a Brahmana, you're moving about, in a very hidden way. No one knows who you are. You wear the sacred thread. And which renowned sage are you? And who is your father? Where were you born? Why did you come to this place? Are you Narayana who has come to benefit us, or are you Kapila Dev? Who are you? Uh, Actually, my dear sir, honestly, I am not afraid of the thunderbolt of Indra, nor am I afraid of the trident of Lord Shiva or the staff of Yamaraj, nor am I afraid of the fire, the sun, the moon, the wind, or the weapons of Kuvera, but I am very much afraid of offending a Brahmana. Shanke Brisham Brahma Kula Avamanat. So, so please forgive me. So please speak, not associating with the material world, appearing dull-witted, but having the power of realized knowledge. You wander about with no superior. O saint, I am not able to understand your words about yoga, even though I am trying with my attentive mind. I am not able to understand what you are telling, even though I am trying with my attentive mind. I am not able to understand. So please, can you please explain whatever you have spoken? So this is where we ended our discussion yesterday. So we'll try to cover few more verses and then open up for some short discussion. Again, as I told you, today also I'm in the temple, and tomorrow I'll be traveling. So tomorrow we will directly have Srila Prabhupada's purport session in the morning, and we will not have morning Bhagavatam session, and afternoon and evening also. So, and today also afternoon, evening, I have some meetings here in the temple before I leave. So the afternoon also will not have, and the evening I'll be traveling. So anyways, so he continues. Um, Rahugana is speaking to Jadabharata. Rahugana says here that Aham cha yogeshwaramatma tattva vidam muninam paramam gurum vai prashtum pravritta kimiharanam tat sakshad harim jnana kalavatirnam. So he says, Aham prashtum pravrittaha. I now inquire from you, Yogeshwaram, the master of yoga, Atma Tattva Vidam Muninam Paramam Gurum, the best guru of the sages knowing about Atma, Iha Aranam, about the shelter in this world, Sakshad Harim, the Lord himself, Jnana Kala Avatirnam, who appeared as a portion of knowledge. So, Ravguna is asking Jadabharata, my dear sir, I wish to know. Okay, it has reached 100. Let me just share the link. I used to do it in the beginning only, but somehow I felt, 100 people will not join. So I'm sorry. Just give me 1 second. Almost done. Is it? Just a waste of time. I should have done it in the beginning only. I'm sorry. From tomorrow, I will make it a practice to do it in the beginning only. Okay. So he says, I wish to inquire from you um, about the shelter in this world, which is the Lord himself who has appeared as a portion of knowledge. Okay. So he says, the chief amongst the great yogis will be able to cut my doubts. That is indicated in this verse. Sakshad Hari means Kapiladev, who appeared for giving knowledge as a portion of the Lord's jnana. So, Then he continues. Savai bhavan loka nirikshanartam avyaktalingo vicharatyapisvit yogeshwaranam gatimanda buddhihi katam vichakshita grihanubandha. Apisvit savai bhavan. Are you Kapiladev? Avyaktalingo but hiding your identity? Loka nirikshanartam vicharati and wandering about to examine the world? Are you Kapiladev who has covered your own identity and moving around this world to examine this world? Uh, or, and then he says, Katam grihanu bandha. How can a person who is bound to family life, anda buddhihi, blind to spiritual knowledge, vichakshita gatim, know the movements, Yogeshwaranam of the masters of yoga? So he says, please do not curse me. Please do not take offense. I am just a householder who is completely I'm blind to spiritual knowledge and I am bound to my family life. So I do not have the eyes to see your greatness. That's why I could not see. If I had known, I would not have treated you like this. So please forgive me. Like that he says. Are you Kapiladev? The person with blind intelligence refers to himself, the king. So now, after inquiring about who he was, now Rahuguna is going to explain. He's not going to just like that accept whatever Jadabharata says, but he is going to question because he's not convinced. So one thing is that, again, we had discussed on this topic before about inquiry, asking questions. Okay. So asking questions is not, one can actually kind of express one's inability to understand. So here we will see that Rahugana is unable to accept the explanations given by Jadabharata. That is allowed. That is allowed. Inability to understand is fine. Okay. So just because someone accepts a guru does not mean that the person has to just keep nodding the head for whatever the guru says. But if something does not make sense to him, one can definitely ask in the mood of, oh, I am unable to understand. I need to understand it better. So in that mood, one can definitely ask. Seeking clarification is not against the principle of surrender. Seeking clarification is not against the principle of surrender. One, in fact, that should be asked. Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. As long as that pariprashna is accompanied by pranipata and seva. Okay. A humble submission, humility and service, it is perfectly fine. Okay. It is perfectly fine. So one should not say that surrender means you should not ask any question. Whatever he says, you accept. Yeah, I'm willing to accept, but I wish to understand whether what I have accepted is right or wrong. Have I understood it right? So here, Rahuguna will seemingly disagree. He will seemingly disagree with the statements presented by Jadabharata, but that seeming disagreement is only to seek clarification and not to actually disagree. Okay. The very fact that Rahuguna, the way he responded to Jadabharata by falling at his feet, very clearly, and by his humble submission, which he did in the last few verses, it is very clear that Rahuguna has accepted Jadabharata as a personality fit enough to receive instructions from. So therefore, his apparent rejection of some of the statements presented by Jadabharata is only to push Jadabharata to go deeper and explain to him with more clarity what he is trying to communicate. Okay. He is just trying to fluff it out, what Jadabharata is speaking, he is trying to understand little more deeply. So with that, in order to invoke that deeper explanations from Jadabharata, he is seemingly disagreeing with some of the statements so that Jadabharata can explain them more deeply. So there is no question of Rahuguna doubting what Jadabharata is presenting. It is just that he is seeking more clarification. That's all. So Rahuguna speaks. दृष्टश्रमः कर्मत आत्मनो वै भर्तुर्गन्तुर्भवतश्चानुमन्ये यथा सतोदान् नयनाद्यभावात् समूल इष्टो व्यवहार मार्गः. So दृष्टः, it is observed, आत्मनो वै श्रमः, that I become fatigued, karmata, from performing actions. My dear Jadabharata, you said that, thinness, fatness, thinness, strength, tiredness, fatigue, everything exists only for a person who has bodily identification, but I don't have, you said. So Rahuguna is presenting here. Actually, when I walk some distance, I become fatigued. It is observed that I become fatigued from performing actions. Bhavataha Bhartuhu, when you carry the palanquin, Gantuhu, or if you move, then you must also be experiencing fatigue. Anumanye, this is Anuman. If something is happening to me, it must be happening to you also. Because I possess a body made of, muscles and blood and bones and nerves and veins and everything. And you also do the same thing. So if I am walking and I feel tired, then I must assume that if you are walking, you must also be feeling tired. And it's not just me. When my father walks, he becomes tired. When my mother walks, she becomes tired. When my wife walks, she becomes tired. And many of my relatives and friends and citizens, when they walk, when they carry, they naturally become fatigued. So isn't it not a reasonable anuman or inference to assume that you must also be becoming tired? So therefore, you cannot reject the conventional world. You cannot reject the conventional world. That's what he is telling, which is very reasonable. Is this wrong? Yeah. We also know that you are not this body, you are the soul, but the conventional reality cannot be rejected because everyone else in this world is acting on the platform of conventional reality. So you cannot just say that, oh, conventional reality is, it's just convention, it's not true. Yata uda abhavat asata anayanadi. Since one cannot carry water with a false pot, ishto, one must accept vyavahara margaha, the conventional practical world based on the evidence, samula. Okay. So you are telling that no. The body is just only conventional reality. In the absolute reality, you are not the body, you are the soul. Yes, in the absolute reality, I am the soul. I am not at all denying that fact. Okay. Please don't get me wrong, my dear Jadabharata, my dear Brahmana. I am not telling I am the body. But I cannot say that the body does not exist. Right now I am staying in this body. So the conventional world cannot be rejected. He says the king thought, I will begin questioning Kapila Dev, having met him on the road. Hmm. So he was thinking, having met him, having met him on the road, I will first reject his answers and in that way discovered all that I asked about him. So first he thought that I will reject his answers, then he will tell something more and more deeper, and by that I will understand who he really is. First, Bharata said that he was not tired. The king inferred as follows. You become tired by carrying a load since you are the doer. The doer becomes tired just as I become tired when I fight. One cannot say that this is how people speak in the world, but spiritual people do not talk in this manner, since one cannot uproot practical existence. Spiritual science should explain conventional reality also. It's not that spiritual science can say, okay, conventional reality is all false. Yeah, but still, now you have to still give an explanation of why this is happening the way it is happening. Okay. So this is important. So you cannot just reject conventional reality altogether. So if one says, bring water by means of the pot, one cannot bring water using a non-existent pot. One cannot bring water using a non-existent pot. There has to be an existing pot. Okay. Material existence is approved as real. Samulaha. It's not unreal. It's real. We don't say Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya. It is not Mithya. Of course, sometimes the Shastras also talk about material world to be false. And there is a verse in, I think, Padma Purana or somewhere where the Acharyas quote. It says that whenever in the Shastras, the material world is mentioned to be unreal, one should understand that it means it is temporary and not permanent. That's all. Okay. So he says, thus by inference, the material world is real because of real objects and real doers. What is not real does not have objects and doers. So if the world is unreal, there is no pot and no one to carry the water. So he says that he says, no, you are telling that I am the king and you are the servant is only conventional reality. I say, I agree. But is the conventional world false completely? It is real, right? It is real. Okay. And then uh, Rahugana is going to tell something very interesting. He's going to clarify to Jadabharata that, my dear sir, please understand, it is not that I do not know the difference between body and soul. Please don't get me wrong. It's not that I do not know the difference between body and soul. And in order to communicate this, he gives an analogy, very powerful analogy. He says, Stalyagnitapat payasobitaptas tattapatastandula garbarandihi dehendriyash dehendriyasvashayasannikarshat tat samsriti purushasyanurodat. He says, Stali agnitapat. Okay, if you want to make sweet rice, and if you want to cook the rice, you don't take the rice and directly put it on fire. Okay. You take the rice, put it in milk, and take that milk and rice and put it in the pot and keep the pot on fire. When the fire burns the pot becomes hot. When the pot becomes hot, the milk becomes hot. When the milk becomes hot, the rice gets cooked. The rice becomes hot and it gets cooked. So he says, Stalyagnitapat payasobitaptaha. By applying heat to the pot, milk in the pot becomes hot. Tattapatas. Because of the heating of the milk, Tandula garba randihi. The rice, Tandula is rice. The rice which is there within that milk, it gets cooked. So in the same way, Deha, Indriya, Asu, Ashaya Sannikarshat, Tat Samsritihi. Similarly, because of connection with the body, senses, life airs, and mind, samsara of the Atma takes place because of successive influence of the coverings on the Atma. So, if the so this is a very beautiful analogy Rahugana is giving. He says, look, yes, the soul has nothing to do with this world. Okay. The soul has nothing to do with this world. Asango hi ayam purushaha. I do understand that. But the soul is in touch with the subtle body. The subtle body is in touch with the gross body. And the gross body, because if it gets burnt, okay, or if it encounters an injury, okay, then the subtle body gets affected because of its close proximity to the gross body. And the subtle body, when the subtle body gets affected, the soul gets affected because of the soul's close proximity to the subtle body. While I do understand from a constitutional perspective that the soul, what is that? Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakah, nachainam kledayantyapo, nashoshayati marutah. Krishna says that the soul cannot be cut, it cannot be cleaved, it cannot be burnt, it cannot be moistened. I do accept all of that. But in the conditioned state, the soul is in touch with the subtle body, and the subtle body is in touch with the gross body. So when the gross body is undergoing some problem, the subtle body gets affected. And when the subtle body gets affected, because of its close proximity to the subtle body, not just physical proximity, but also in terms of identifying with the subtle body, uh, the uh, the jiva also gets affected. So, is there something wrong in my understanding? That's what Jadabharata is asking here. Sorry, Raguna is asking to Jadabharata here. So, here Shila Vishwanath Chakravarti says, an example is given to illustrate that Atma becomes tired because of fatigue of the body and senses from carrying a load. Because of the heat of fire on a pot, the milk within it becomes hot. Because of the heat of the milk, the outer portion of the rice becomes hot. Then the inside of the rice becomes cooked. Okay, the heat transfers from the outside of the rice gradually to the inside of the rice. So in this way, it gets cooked. But the rice is not directly in fire. Similarly, the soul is compared to the rice. Milk is compared to the subtle body. The pot is compared to the gross body. And the fire is the adhyatmic, adibhautik, adidaivik kleshas. Okay. So when the part experiences, when the part of the body experiences the fire of the adhyatmic, adibhautik, adidaivik kleshas, then it affects the milk of the subtle body. And when the milk of the subtle body gets heated or affected, then it cooks the rice, which is the soul. So, Dehendriya Ashu, Deha Indriya Asu Ashaya Sannikarshat, because of the connection with the gross body, subtle body, and everything, and the senses and everything with the soul also experiences um, all kinds of distress. Similarly, because of relationship with the body, senses, life airs, and mind, samsara of the Atma occurs. Asu means life air and Ashaya means the mind. This takes place from successive effects on the coverings of the Atma. For instance, because of sun's heat, the body becomes hot. Okay. Then the life airs and the mind become hot. Oh, 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 oh. Okay, I'm sorry. There is something wrong with my. He says that when the life airs and the mind become hard, then the Atma becomes hard. Okay. So if this happens to me, then it must be happening to you also. So why do you say that I don't become tired? You don't become tired because you are not directly in the fire. Okay. So the rice can say that, I am not on fire. In fact, the milk that I am in touch with is also not on fire. It is just the part which is there on fire. So I will not get affected or I will not get cooked. You cannot say like that. Uh, So that's what he says. Then he continues. शास्ताभिगोप्ता नृपतिः प्रजानां यः किङ्करो वै न पिनष्टि पिष्टम् स्वधर्ममाराधनमच्युतस्य यदीहमानो विजहात्यगौगम्. Even if his position is impermanent, this is what uh, Rahugana is telling. Very valid points. Okay. Even if his position is impermanent, Nrupatihi, when a person is a king, Shasta Abhigopta, he becomes the punisher and protector of the citizens. Even if his position is impermanent, when a person is a king, he becomes the. You mean to say just because the Rahugana is basically directly asking Jadabharata, okay, I agree that the position of the king is temporary. So are you suggesting that I should stop acting as a king and stop taking care of the citizens just because it is just a temporary designation? Is that what you are suggesting? So, like that. Hmm. So, even if his position is impermanent, when a person is a king, he becomes the punisher and protector of the citizens. Though you say punishing a dull person is useless, one who is servant of the Lord does not act uselessly. Okay. I am the servant of the Lord. I am the king. So, uh, so is my performing the role of a king? Do you say that it is useless? Is it not? Uh, am I not executing uh, the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in taking care? Just like a Brahmana, uh, just like a Brahmana is um, serving the mission of the Lord by disseminating knowledge. Uh, as a Kshatriya, am I not also serving the Lord by facilitating the dissemination of knowledge, uh, by maintaining the Varnashrama system? If I don't chastise the Shudras uh, and punish them when they are engaged in an. Yes, of course, you may say Shudra is also a material designations. I don't deny that. But can you just, by telling a Shudra that no, no, you are not a Shudra, this is just a material designation, you are just the soul, will he start acting on the platform of soul? Okay. So he says that even if his position is impermanent, when a person is a king, he becomes the punisher and protector of the citizens. Though you say punishing a dull person is useless, one who is servant of the Lord does not act uselessly. Yat swadharmam ihamanaha aradhanam achyutasya vijahati aga ogam. So he says that the king, in performing his dharma of punishing the citizens, which is worship of the Lord, destroys all his sins. As a king, by punishing the citizens, I am engaging in my own duties. Swakarmanam tam abhyarcha siddhim vindati manava. Doesn't Krishna say this in Bhagavad Gita? That that uh, any person within the Varnashram system, by performing his Swadharma, he can attain perfection. I am trying to do the same thing. And you are here dismissing it as, this is the conventional reality. Should someone stop acting in conventional reality? Should all kings stop? Um, should they stop protecting the citizens? Should all Brahmanas stop disseminating knowledge? Is that what you are suggesting? Okay, that's what he's telling here. So he said, Raghunatha says, you have said, if the states of servant and master were permanent, so even if these conditions are impermanent, when a person is the king, he is the punisher and protector of the citizens. You have said giving punishment to a dull person has no effect, like grinding already ground floor. But a servant of the Lord like me does not act uselessly, since even if a person's dullness does not go away by punishment, by fulfilling the order of the Lord, one becomes successful. That is the dharma that has been assigned to me by the Supreme Lord. The king is following his prescribed dharma by punishing the citizens, which is worship of the Lord, and it destroys all his sins. So, like this, uh, this is a very interesting conversation. This will continue for a few chapters. So, I think we'll pause here, as I told. We'll have session only till 8:15 because I'll have to rush to attend the morning Temple Bhagavatam class. Any quick discussion points, comments, questions, anything anyone would like to share, ask, and we can take it right now. Okay, there is something in the chat box. Let's try to take it first. Doesn't Atma here refer to the mind, since soul or the self is aloof? No, I mean, in this context, see, the word Atma can refer to mind, intelligence, the body, the soul, everything. Okay, but in this context, we have to take the explanation that is given by the Acharyas. If the Acharyas explain that here the word Atma refers to the soul, we take it as soul. If they say that here the word Atma refers to mind, we take it as mind. So whatever is their explanation, we have to take it that way. Next question. Why Jadabharata is compared to Lord Kapiladev? Usually comparison is with other incarnations of the Lord. Well, he is thinking. Rahugana is thinking maybe he must be Kapiladev because he is giving jnana. Because Kapiladev also appeared to give jnana. So he is comparing him to Kapiladev. He is feeling that he is like Kapiladev. Not that he has completely concluded that he is Kapiladev only. Not like that. Yes, Shyam Sundaranand Prabhu.
Thank you. This is the favorite topic we discussed a bit. Uh, Here we are talking about Rahugana expressing the conventional reality, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe in the future verses, Jadabharata would defeat Rahugana's arguments and establish the pure knowledge of the soul. However, what Rahugana is talking is also at a point which you have mentioned also in the class.
Yeah.
So when in our day-to-day life also, we have like the teachings of our acharyas, especially we say that not we say it is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement is Bhakti Pradhan, right? Vairagya, Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga,
Yeah.
Sikshardhameka Purusha Pran. So now when we are acting in this world, the conventional reality as we are discussing, that's also a reality which cannot undeniable. Right? Yeah. And so in this case, like how do we act in this world? Like we can't, like Jadabharata is Rahugana is making valid arguments here. Even if you think that the soul is the supreme, you don't have we cannot teach everyone as a soul because they don't act on the platform of the soul. And to a certain extent, when I am also not purified, I also not always act on the platform of the soul. I understand that is the goal, but reality is different.
Yeah.
So in this context, how do we balance out the things in the world for ourselves and for also the social interactions?
Well, we have to see uh, the 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 platform at which the person is situated, and accordingly share whatever where he can take one step ahead from where he already is. So otherwise, it becomes the ninth offense to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy names or whatever. The glories of the holy names is just an example, but the principle is universal. Uh, you instruct a person only according to what he can digest immediately. So how do we do it? It varies from people to people. So we have to see where that person is right now and what he can accept and what he cannot accept, and accordingly we give him so that he can take one step forward from where he is already. And not everyone is on the same level, so we have to guide them accordingly.
And for ourselves?
For ourselves also same thing. So uh, see, for us the conventional reality is that see, I'm kind of understanding, or maybe I think I'm understanding where you're coming at. Uh, See, that is why for devotees, there is this Vaidhi sadhana, which uh, uh, Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, which actually uh, there is based on the limbs that are suggested for the devotees, there is a clear, what you can say, empathy that the practitioner may very likely for all practical purposes be on the bodily platform. So that's why Krishna says, Mayyeva mana adatsva mai buddhim niveshaya nivashishyasi mayyeva ata urdhvam na samshayah. Oh, your mind should naturally and spontaneously run towards me. But if that is not possible, then abhyasa yogena tato. Whenever mind goes here and there, pull it back to Krishna. But if even that is not possible, engage your senses in the service of Krishna. So these are practical. We may not, if even that you do not have faith of engaging your senses in the activity of Krishna consciousness, if you do not have full faith in Krishna Bhakti Kaila Sarva Karma Kritahai, then also engage your senses in the Varnashrama duties, and in that way you can live your life. So Krishna gives stage by stage kind of recommendation depending on how deep is our bodily identification. Accordingly, he suggests various levels of sadhana for practice. So we have to see where we are, and accordingly we have to practice. Sve sve adhikare ya nishta saguna parikirtita. Understanding one's adhikar and acting accordingly in a way that we avoid niyamagraha, like that.
Yeah, thank you very much, bro. One quick clarification. The verses you quoted from Bhagavad Gita, so
Mhm.
Mayyeva mana datsva may buddhim nivesha. So
Yeah.
these are all falling under the ambit of Bhakti Yoga practice, or is it some of them are can be taken as Karma Yoga and other practices? No,
The way
actually,
Krishna
this is
gives
quoted in the
as,
Bhakti Yoga section. Yes.
yeah. So Mayyeva mana adatsva, Srila Vishwanath Chakradhakar explains, this is called as Smaranatmika Bhakti. Mai
Okay.
buddhim nivesha, Smaranatmika Bhakti is at the stage of prema.
Okay.
And Mai buddhim niveshaya, I will not go into the details of the explanation because we don't have time.
Yeah.
He calls it Mananatmika Bhakti, which means somewhere
Hmm.
between Asakti and Bhava.
Okay.
Okay. And then he says Abhyasa Rupa Bhakti, where in Abhyasa Rupa Bhakti also, you are actually um, working on the level of mind. Okay.
Hmm.
You are trying to, which
Hmm.
also he says is a very high level of bhakti, Nishta
Hmm.
Ruchi. that level where one is fairly free from the anarthas. And then when he says, engage only your senses, karma rupa bhakti, or whatever you want to call, abhyasya api asamarthosi matkarma paramo bhavan, madartam api karmani kurvan siddhim avapsisi. So engage only your senses, that is pure bhakti on the level of anartha nivritti, where the anarthas are significant and, uh, constantly pulling the mind might also be very, very difficult. So he says that just engage. So these first four levels, Mayyeva mana adatsva, Mayi buddhim niveshaya, Abhyasa yogena tato, and Madartam api karmani. These four levels are all pure devotional service.
Oh, okay.
And then he says, Ata etadapi ashaktosi. If even that is not possible, then sarva karma phalatyagam. Tatak kuru yatatmavan. Then at least you engage your senses in your varnashram duties and offer the fruits to me. That much you do. If you do not have full faith in even engaging your senses, external senses in Krishna conscious activities all the time, then offer the fruits to me. So that is Nishkama Karma Yoga. So like that 5 levels, Maranatmika Bhakti, Mananatmika Bhakti, Abhyasa Rupa Bhakti, Kaya Rupa Bhakti, engaging the body. So these top 4 are pure devotional service. And then comes, Nishkama Karma Yoga. That is the 5th stage that he gives. Like in day before yesterday, Bhagavatam class, Chopati Bhagavatam class also we discussed on Vairagya. So in that, also I shared that, there are these 4 levels, the succumbing stage, the dovetailing stage, then the stage of Yukta Vairagya, and then there is spontaneous devotional service. So spontaneous devotional service is like Smaranatmika and Mananatmika Bhakti is, comes within that. And then Yukta Vairagya comes more at, you can say like Abhyasa Rupa Bhakti, where there is already anasaktasya vishayan, there is detachment from the objects. Then, the dovetailing stage is what we call here as Kaya Rupa Bhakti, where there are attachments, we are dealing with our attachments and we are trying to at least engage them in Krishna's service. So this Kaya Rupa Bhakti is more on the succumbing level and the dovetailing level. And Krishna gives one below that also, which does not fall within the category of Shuddha Bhakti, that is Nishkama Karma Yoga. Like,
yeah. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. These are 4 stages we have to understand, and then we have to understand Gaj our adhikar and act accordingly on that platform. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm sorry, we will have to pause here. I have to rush. Thank you all very much for your patient listening and your enthusiastic participation. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti